This video was made possible thanks to my generous Patreon supporters. Muchas gracias a todos. San Diego's trolley is known for two things. It was the first modern light rail in the United States, and it stops just short of the Mexican border. It's the closest thing the US has to international rapid rail transit. But have you ever wondered, once you make the trip from downtown to San Ysidro and cross into Tijuana, what's the border transit like on Mexico's side, and is it anything like the Pacific Surfliner if it was on top of a cliff? No, you've never wondered that? Well, you should, because the trip south from San Diego into Mexico is one of the most amazing transit journeys you can make in North America. What makes it so amazing, you ask? The only way to find out is to go for a ride. Let's take a look at the US side of the map. San Diego is the second largest city in California, located just north of the US-Mexico border. 4 regular light rail lines, or trolley lines as they're called here, serve the region. Of particular note is the Blue Line, the oldest in the system, which runs from the University of California, San Diego, south through downtown, before ending up at San Ysidro, an exclave of San Diego right along the US-Mexico border. Coaster Commuter Rail rounds out the network, with diesel services up the coast to Oceanside, and the Amtrak Pacific Surfliner parallels this before continuing to Los Angeles and San Luis Obispo. I began my visit to the region at the Old Town Transit Center north of San Diego, where I got off my overnight Flixbus. This station serves the green and blue lines of the San Diego Trolley, Amtrak's Pacific Surfliner, and the Coaster Commuter Rail, which I was here to ride. The Blue Line hadn't yet reached here when I filmed this, so going to San Ysidro was a 2-seat trip. My train was inbound from Oceanside, a transfer station with LA's Metrolink. This commuter service launched in 1995, after over a decade of planning. Seats in this Bombardier bi-level coach were arranged with 2-facing-2 GO Transit style, and the whole train set was pushed by a Siemens Charger, one of 7 in the agency's fleet. Also, for the record, I'm wearing a mask because I shot this in 2021 as part of my Amtrak Rail Pass adventure, but if you do see someone wearing a mask in 2024, they're just trying to stay healthy, maybe leave them alone. Right behind me is the Santa Fe Depot here in downtown San Diego. It currently serves the Amtrak Pacific Surfliner, the Coaster, and the San Diego Trolley. It was originally built by the Santa Fe Railroad in 1915. I am now on board the San Diego Trolley, which is the oldest modern light rail system in the United States. It's hard to overstate the significance of San Diego's Blue Line, originally called the North-South Line. Built just a decade or two after heavy rail systems like BART and futuristic prototypes like the Morgantown PRT, the Blue Line pioneered the modern use of tram-like vehicles on somewhat grade-separated lines, slashing costs with familiar technology and recycled rights-of-way, and paving the way for similar systems all around the US. It wasn't the first modern light rail in North America. That honor goes to Edmonton, which beat San Diego by 3 years. It wasn't the first to explore tramways on steroids as a practical solution for modern transportation. Germany was doing that well before California. And it wasn't the first to recycle grade-separated heavy rail lines for rapid transit. Boston was doing that in the 50s. But when the Blue Line opened in 1981, it was the first to prove that new-built light rail still worked in car-centric modern America, and for that, it deserves a special place in transit history. You can still ride the first-generation car in these shots at Pennsylvania's Rock Hill Trolley Museum of all places. And thus, I had made it to San Ysidro, the closest rapid transit station to the US-Mexico border. This is the second busiest station on the entire trolley system, with almost 18,000 passengers each day, some of whom are tourists like me heading south of the border. So let's do this one more time. Tijuana is the largest city in the Mexican state of Baja California, and the second largest in the whole country, located just south of the US-Mexico border. From here, Federal Highway 1 heads west to the coast, where it turns south, hugging the Pacific coast until the smaller city of Ensenada. Autobuses de Baja California, or ABC Bus for short, runs a frequent bus service between the two cities, with the station conveniently located by the Tijuana border crossing. Alright, I've just crossed the border and I'm now in Tijuana, and anyone who's been to the northern bit of Tijuana knows most of it is drugstores, because pharmaceuticals are cheaper down here than in San Diego. However, we're going to this store here. It's called an OXXO, and it is the best thing ever. It is the most ubiquitous convenience store with the most affordable snacks. 16 pesos. That makes this massive bottle of water 75 cents. And these are apparently a must-have in Mexico. They're called squinkles. They're like stringy, spicy candies. One thing you'll notice about Mexican junk food is that by government order, it has to have a label showing that it has excess calories, excess sugars, stuff like that. Alright, snacks have been purchased, and now we're on our way to the bus station. The bus station was easily accessible, less than 5 minutes walk from the pedestrian crossing, and I was soon on board. And now I'm here on the bus, which is incredibly comfy. Like, look how cushy these seats are. You even get seat back entertainment, and this thing that folds down as a really cushy footrest. And all that for 210 pesos, which is about 10 bucks. The entertainment system lasted all of 2 minutes before switching to this screen. But at least we're off. From the border station, we began our journey west, passing Tijuana's monumental arch and running just feet from the US-Mexico border wall. Then we turned south along the coastline, and oh my goodness, was it majestic. We would end up taking Highway 1D, a tolled alternative to the original Highway 1, which features higher speeds and, in some cases, passage closer to the Pacific during its 98-kilometer run, about 60 miles. According to the travel website Mexico Desconocido, this highway was opened in 1967, but it follows much older paths used by natives and Catholic missionaries. Like the Pacific Surfliner up north, this highway, deemed the most beautiful in the country by some travel sites, features gently rolling Pacific Ocean waves, but unlike Amtrak's much-fabled route, this route is also home to dramatic cliffside views, which progress in scale and grandeur the closer one gets to Ensenada. After almost 2 hours, we arrived in Ensenada after a smooth southbound journey. And now we're here in Ensenada on La Jolla Beach. It's incredibly beautiful. I'm here with some friends. We're gonna go hang out. Good morning from day 2 in Ensenada, Baja California, Mexico. Pretty much since I stopped filming, I was hanging out with a couple of my friends on the beach. This happened. And then we went back to one of my friends' houses for homemade tacos. Everyone was patient with my broken Spanish.
¿Cómo te sientes en México, Kale?
Oh, okay. It was so interesting to be the minority in a social situation because I am almost never the minority in a situation in my day-to-day life. I realize as I'm editing this that's slightly outdated information. And so it was interesting to be the only one who spoke English as a first language and to just try my best at Spanish, but then really benefit from having a lot of people there who also knew English. And I really think it's important that we as Americans maybe learn some more Spanish so that we can reciprocate the same thing. Ensenada is home to about 280,000 people, roughly the population of St. Louis or Jersey City. One of those people was my friend Roxanne, who took me for a drive up and down the coast. From here, we could see the port of Ensenada, the second busiest port in Mexico, which serves both container and cruise ships. Many Mexican cities and towns have colorful letter sculptures advertising their location, so of course I had to stop and see Ensenada's. Then we drove into town for some lunch. Fun fact, both Tijuana and Ensenada greatly benefited during Prohibition, the era of US history when alcohol was outlawed, as Californians would regularly slip over the border for some booze. One Tijuana restaurant catering to this crowd ended up inventing the Caesar salad. Bet you didn't know that was Mexican food. We're here at 240 Grill in Ensenada. By we, I mean me and my friend Roxanne. And we're gonna try some ceviche. So we're starting out with cucumber lemon agua fresca. And here is some ceviche with tostadas. Quite delicious. So next up is this fish taco called El Gober, which is just piled high with stuff. I'm not sure how I'm gonna eat it. Roxanne is giving up on the taco strategy and using a fork for her, what is your taco?
Octopus al pastor.
I forgot to mention everything on that table added up to 11 bucks. So pretty cheap.
Yeah, super cheap. Even the waters.
But do you know what else is super cheap? Joining my Patreon. For as little as $1.80 per month, you can get early access to videos and bonus content, including my first video from my Europe series, riding between England's Boston and Washington to recreate the Amtrak Northeast Corridor. One Mexican haircut later, I'm here on the beach of Ensenada. I'm not sure if Ensenada's beaches are the best in North America, but they're certainly the best I've ever been to, at least for swimming. Average ocean temperatures here vary between 66 and 73 Fahrenheit in the summer. In the city's commercial center, I walked around and bought myself a map of the Baja Peninsula. Regarding what I was saying yesterday about OXXOs being ubiquitous, here's an OXXO over here. There's the main tourist street. And here's an OXXO over here. What is their business model? What are they trying to accomplish with this? This here is a beautiful sign of the times, but it's a little odd that it's right below this. It is now 9:30 and we are at Senadoria for some late dinner. We meaning me, Roxanne, and Roberto.
The Senadoria de El Parian. He is from Guadalajara.
We have an enchilada, you say más yours. An enchilada, tostada, some flautas, and a sope.
On the morning of my trip back to California, or Alta California, Roxanne and Roberto helped me find chilaquiles for breakfast, then drove me to the bus station. Dang, they're really cute together. I hope they get married. Oh hey! What you guys are seeing here is an OXXO across the street from an OXXO. Still not entirely sure what the business model is here. And now we're back at the bus station. And of course, there's an OXXO. And now we're here in the bus station in Ensenada, ready to head back to Tijuana. And now I'm back on the bus to Tijuana. And we are 10 minutes late, and it's my fault, because apparently you're supposed to print out your ticket, and I just showed it on my phone. And so the driver literally got off the bus and walked me to the office so I could print it out, but then we had tech issues, so yeah. Well, at least we're on the bus now, and we're on our way. While the bus driver was helping me print my ticket, he remarked that my name reminded me of Superman. It took several back and forths before we realized that Caleb becomes Caleb in Spanish, which sounds like Superman's Kryptonian name, Kal-El. The drive back up on 1D was equally scenic, though with more of an ominous feel due to the cloud cover. Back at the border, I spent my last pesos on some drinks. The line here is super long, so I'm gonna do something a little crazy. Based only on a Noel Phillips video I'd seen forever ago, I jumped in a surprisingly cheap Uber and drove across Tijuana to the airport. This airport terminal features a unique border crossing into the US. The only problem was it was only for ticketed passengers, a really obvious fact I'd somehow missed. Finally, I decided I'd take a Greyhound. I'd taken them from Boston to Montreal before, and they'd blitzed through the Vermont-Quebec border. Unfortunately, I didn't realize that my $20 trip would only consist of a shuttle to the border, requiring me to once again cross on foot. And the kicker? The line was really fast, and I was back in the US and at the Blue Line stop in no time. My connecting Greyhound from here to San Diego wouldn't be along for hours, so I opted for the trolley instead. And thus, I ended up back at Santa Fe Depot, having wasted hours of my trip. Say it with me now. Caleb didn't do his research. Dang, I've gotten so much better at traveling over the last 3 years. All's well that ends well though, and I finished off the day with a beautiful sunset ride on the Pacific Surfliner. The US-Mexico border is one of the most culturally significant in the modern world, with all sorts of discourse surrounding it. I'm glad I was able to experience it on a safe and personal level, thanks to my friends, my haphazard adventures, and 2 really solid transit providers. You really get a sense of why the Blue Line and Highway 1 were built when you ride them together. So next time you're in San Diego and you want to go for a joyride on the light rail, consider taking transit further to the south as well. Who knows, you might discover a lot.
Yo voy a cantar esta canción para